When I say the phrase free speech grifter, who's the first person that comes to mind? Could be Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, Steven Crowder. Those are all good answers, but what if I was to tell you that the most dangerous and disgusting free speech grift that took place during the pandemic was not by any of the usual suspects, but was by a self-help guru?
Yo, what's up? Happy Good Friday from London. Sending you peace and love to wherever you are in the world. And today I wanted to talk about how a virus gets spread. Now, this is not the conversation you think I'm about to have, so stay with me for a second here. There's another virus happening right now. And that's the virus of the idea that we can suppress the right to speak our minds, freedom of speech. When we broadcast on Monday, there was one idea simultaneously being spread to 65,000 people at one point. That's an R-naught of 65,000. And it was spreading, putting this virus of an idea into people's brains around the world so they could entertain a different point of view and then make an informed decision about how they want to proceed with the world, with their life. So we've got all sorts of viral things happening here. We've got this idea that there's this guy out there putting some new concepts that could go into your brain and you could make your own decision. That's going to zero or not. And the idea that you better watch what you say, or as Ice-T would say, freedom of speech. Just watch what you say. That is skyrocketing. And the combination of those two is going to bring us a new world order. Right now, I would love to give you more details about what happened, but guess what? I can't actually tell you what I'm thinking right now.
So this is Brian Rose, and he runs a YouTube channel called London Real. In the midst of the pandemic last year, London Real was embroiled in a controversy after Brian Rose conducted an interview with David Icke, the crazed conspiracy theorist who thinks that the world is run by a secret group of reptilian, alien lizard people who have a base on the moon.
Non-human entities in the unseen, maybe taking a reptilian form. You know, people who've been in mind control projects, people who've been in government projects, who've interacted with these entities in underground bases. And he's saying world governments are controlled by a reptilian non-human race. I've been saying that since the 90s. And so these, not just reptilian, but other non-human entities are operating just outside of the human sight. And they have to have vehicles within our frequency band, within our world, that represent their interests, that are basically vehicles for them to manipulate our society. And so particular bloodlines were created that are hybrids, part reptilian, not always reptilian, but part reptilian, part human, which is the origin of the royal aristocratic bloodline, whole order of the ages.
In this interview I'm referring to, David Icke explores the idea that COVID-19 is a cover-up for a 5G mass surveillance operation. I'm going to take some time to respond to these videos and talk a little bit about who they're appealing to, what his motives might be for uploading these type of interviews, and why it's so dangerous. The initial video I showed you is called Freedom of Speech. Just watch what you say, the virality of oppression. If you check out this guy's channel, London Real, you'll see a wide array of interviews with all types of figures over the years. He's appealing to a number of different fan bases. For example, he's interviewed Dorian Yates, who's a former Mr. Olympia, Eddie Hall, who's a former World's Strongest Man, Ido Portal, who's Conor McGregor's movement coach, as well as a Hindu priest. And he sits in this weird kind of self-help space on YouTube. But there's a curious commonality about his videos he released during the onset of the pandemic. Not only is he interviewing David Icke and drawing from his fanbase, but he also went on to interview Alex Jones. As you can see on his channel, the interview with David Icke is his most viewed video to date. So why is this significant? Alex Jones and David Icke are very similar in terms of their support base and their general message. They're both conspiracy theorists who peddle these conspiracies about secret societies that are trying to control the population. In these interviews, you can see that Brian Rose of London Real is clearly appealing to this demographic. You know, this crowd of conspiracy theorists. And what's most interesting is that if you watch these string of shirtless videos he produced, he's very careful to have a neutral stance in regards to Donald Trump, which is quite curious.
All right, those 6K run in the bag. Got beautiful London behind me. I'm in headset Ethan. You know, I had an epiphany last night and I wanted to share it with you and get your thoughts. So please leave me your comments below. Tell me if I'm off on this or if I'm actually onto something. Then you can feel whatever way you want about Trump. I was not really anti or pro-Trump before this. So just see if you can put that aside for a second. But what
he had no positive or negative inclination about Trump before the onset of the virus, which I find quite hard to believe, frankly. Do you know anyone in the world who has a neutral stance on Donald Trump? The reason Brian Rose is being neutral on Donald Trump here is because he's well aware of the support base that he's drawing from in these videos. Alex Jones and David Icke cross over with the QAnon conspiracy theorists. QAnon are pro-Trump, so in order to properly appeal to the conspiracy theorists, you have to appear neutral on anything that would put you on the opposing side of the red-blue nature of tribal politics. So he's appealing to David Icke supporters, Alex Jones supporters, QAnon believers, and Donald Trump supporters. And the big thing that he's leaning on in these videos is freedom of speech. Free speech, or the advocacy of free speech, has become big business on YouTube over the past 5 or 6 years. Right-wing content creators like Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson have found that you can become a free speech martyr by getting yourself banned from a college campus and then watching all of the Patreon dollars roll in. Millions of dollars have been made by grifters off the back of this free speech martyrdom. Brian Rose of London Real is well aware that you can make a lot of money by appearing like this intellectual free thinker who's on the search for truth, who's being silenced by the powers that be. Just take a look at the title of this video. The banned David Icke interview, the most dangerous piece of media in the world. Why? And I think he might be right that this is pretty dangerous. Well, you might be asking yourself, what's the problem here? All's fair in love and YouTube. This guy should be allowed to exercise his free speech and let David Icke and Alex Jones spread this virus of information, as he likes to call it. What makes this so dangerous is that there's a big crossover with support for David Icke and Alex Jones and anti-vaxxers in the conspiracy community. These guys are profiting from these conspiracy theories, and the videos they're putting out are going to deter people from getting vaccinated from the COVID-19 virus. So the actual production of these videos will directly lead to a higher mortality rate. Brian Rose is quite happy to fuel the conspiracy fire in exchange for profit at the expense of potentially thousands of lives. Just imagine how many parents and grandparents there are who are armchair experts through their Facebook feed. And they'll probably see this video and be convinced that the vaccine is a deep state, New World Order reptilian ploy to control a population. Brian Rose of London Real is given a platform to an anti-vaccination conspiracy, which will ultimately lead to more people dying. And you can see it in the comments section of these videos. If you scroll down to the comments, you see thousands of people saying, there's no way I'm going to get vaccinated because Bill Gates or whoever is using this to put mind control chips in people's arms. It's not surprising that following these interviews with David Icke, he started banging the free speech drum and urging his supporters to give support to his channel because the powers that be are trying to silence free thinkers. That's it for this video, guys. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like. I'm going to try and upload some more videos more frequently on the channel, so thanks for any support. Okay, till next time.